Hi, I'm Dr. Ramses Alcaide. I'm the CEO of Neurable. First, huge thanks to Brendan, Connor, Patrick, and all of you at the BCI Society for hosting this important conversation. This workshop could not be at a more timely and more critical moment. We're at a defining moment for brain-computer interfaces. After years of promise, the field is finally breaking into public consciousness, into boardrooms, investor decks, and headlines. And yet, many of us in this room know that this public narrative doesn't always reflect the science or the reality of building responsible brain-computer interface businesses. So today's workshop is on our relationship with business and the reporting community. It isn't just about media relations. It's about trust. It's about how the future of our field and about who gets to tell the story of what BCI really is and what it can become. First, I'm going to start by sharing our approach at Neurable. At Neurable, we've really spent years trying to navigate that tension between innovation and overhype, between vision and integrity. We've engaged directly with trusted analysts like Neurotech Reports, and more recently Blue Shift and Arthur D. Little. These relationships really have helped us share meaningful insights with investors and the market without compromising scientific rigor. But we've also been cautious, deliberately choosing not to engage with certain reports, investor briefings, or tech media outlets that prioritize spectacle over substance. That hesitation, sometimes necessary, has come at a cost. Because when you don't tell your story, someone else will tell it for you, and they may not get it right. The problem with the current narrative is that right now too much of the public narrative around BCI is shaped by invasive, experimental tech with billion-dollar budgets, or by consumer products that frankly don't deliver on their promises. The result is a distorted field of expectations. We've all seen it: flashy demos, bold claims about mind reading, the retail headsets that promise to track stress or focus or mood with little or no validation. These devices flood the market, generate a ton of buzz, and often fail users. And when they do, it doesn't just reflect on the company, it reflects on all of us working in the space. Our approach has been very different. We haven't just raised a ton of capital and then released a product. It's really taken us 10 years of work to tackle these issues before we even decided to release a product that we know could really benefit a user. And what this really means is that we've taken this very seriously, because every time someone puts on a BCI device and walks away disappointed, we lose ground. We lose public trust, and we make it that much harder for the truly science-backed solutions to reach people who need them most. And in my perspective, trust is the next frontier for BCI. This is why it has to be one of our next major milestones, and not just for Neurable, but for the entire BCI field. It's not just enough to build great technology. We have to rebuild the belief in this category. This means more than just showing clinical data or UX improvements. It means confronting the damage done by the hype-driven reporting and misrepresentation and actively reclaiming the narrative. It means drawing a clear line between what's scientifically grounded and what's just noise. And so at least in our approach at Neurable, what we're doing is we're taking a few steps toward that goal. First of all, we're expanding our engagement with report writers, analysts, and investors, but with intention. We're closely working with them to essentially shape the narrative toward one that's responsible, grounded, and can be actually used and tested in real-world use case applications. And primarily those in the mental and cognitive health area. But the core thing is that it's being used in a real world use case so that people can actually see and become advocates of that technology. And we're asking also for others to advocate toward performance standards, holding brain-computer interface companies accountable. If you claim to detect stress or improve focus, you should be able to back that up with data and not just branding. What I mean by data, I don't just mean data that you can show post, but something that you can show in real time that people can actually see the output of the experience that they're having. And finally, we're actively collaborating with companies, researchers, and even media teams to co-author more transparent narratives, one that balances the commercial insight with the scientific integrity. Because if we want a future where BCI is trusted and adopted at scale, we can't afford to keep working in silos. We need to bridge the gap between the technologists, the storytellers, and the investment community, and we need to do that with clarity and credibility. So here's my ask to everyone in the workshop: let's show up. Let's stop treating media and market analysts as outsiders and start treating them as partners. People who can help us scale responsibly if we give them the tools and context to do it right. Let's challenge misinformation, not with snark or silence, but with better data, better storytelling, and above all, better outcomes for users. Because that's what this is really about. Not just founding rounds and headlines, but people. Helping people live better, think better, feel better, because their brain health matters. I'm looking forward to continuing to build for a future where BCI is ethical and impactful and innovative, and starting that with the narrative. So let's build the future together.